So sorry for the interruption. So we were discussing about the architecture of IA32E, which was a 64-bit execution environment and the extended version of IA32E. So this YMM registers comes into picture when we are operating IA32E architecture, and this register sets are extended to 64 bits only, or the rest of the next 32 bits we are using in IA32 architecture only if we are operating in this mode, 64-bit mode. Remember, the hardware is designed uh, for this processor to be executed in 64-bit also, 64-bit execution environment also. As we can see that in case of IA32-bit basic execution environment, we had addressing capability of the processor as a 32 bits. But in case of IA64-bit, in case of IA64-bit, we have addressing capability up to 64 bit, 2 raised to the power 64 addressing. So there is, for the common hardware, there are two modes of operation. As I have told you, there is difference between cross 64 architecture and cross 86 architecture. So there is a difference. Cross 64 architecture is independent architecture, whereas cross 86 architecture is this one, that IA32E extended version. So this is just an extended version of the IA32 architecture, and we will see how it works. So this is an example of IA64 architecture, or I will call it, this is IA64 or cross 64 architecture. This is not cross 86 architecture because it is independent architecture of 64 bits. This is Intel Itanium processor, which was introduced in 2005, I say. And as you can see that we have three cache memories. One is L1 data cache at this point. This is instruction cache, ITLB. If you remember TLB, what is the use of TLB? TLB is translational look aside buffer. And the concept of TLB I have introduced in our classroom when we were studying about memory mapping from RAM to the virtual, when we were studying about the concept of virtual memory. So at the time of virtual memory, I mentioned what is the translational look aside buffer and what is the function of this. So in this case, when we are using L1 instruction cache, with this cache memory, we have a TLB. With the data cache, we have a TLB. We have FPU units, false executed 128-bit register, floating point 128 integer register. As you can see, there are various sections. The concept of branch prediction, IA32 decode and control. Then we have instruction queue. There are 8 bundles of instruction queue. In 8086 processor, we just had a single version of the instruction queue, a single 8-bit instruction queue. So then we have L2 cache, L3 cache in this process. So this is just for to tell you an example of IA64 architecture. You need not to remember it or memorize it. This is just an example. What we have to study indeed that is mentioned in your syllabus is IA32. So IA32 and IA64, both of them are just introduction, just to learn about the basic architecture of IA32, and it can be extended up to IA64. As you can see that by comparing these two basic architectures of IA32 basic execution environment and IA32E, this is the extended mode, which is 64-bit execution environment. So there are various modes in which this IA32 architecture works. So we have 3 modes of IA32. One is real addressing mode. The second one is protected mode. and third one is system management mode. It has been mentioned in your curriculum that you need to learn about real addressing mode only, and the concept of real addressing mode with the segmentation. The concept of segmentation. The concept of segmentation we will be discussing in the next lecture. Right now, let us just find out what is it. What are the modes of addressing? The modes of addressing are real mode addressing. When we have real mode addressing is just like uh, 8086. As you are working in 8086 microprocessor, it is it gives the feeling, or it is just a programming environment of 8086 microprocessor. Nothing additional from that. As well as the processor is placed in this mode following reset or power up. When you reset or power up, the processor is automatically set to this real address mode, and it can be switched to protected mode or SMM. SMM is a system management mode. It can be changed from real address to protected mode or a system management mode. They are interconvertible. You can operate processor in the mode. But when you power up or when the processor is reset, it is operating in real address mode only. And when it is operating in real address mode, it means it is working as an 8086 microprocessor. So basically, for further all the uh, for a further for all further applications, whether we have to study about the instruction set of 80 cross 86, whether we need to learn about the addressing modes of 80 cross 86, we will learn about the 8086 microprocessors instruction set as well as its addressing capabilities and addressing modes. Why this is so? Because as it has been mentioned in our curriculum that we have a real address, we have to study the real addressing mode only. We need not to go into the details of protected mode and system management, but they are not so very different. If you want to learn them, you can access Intel's manual that will be shared with you. uh, there is not much a difference to learn about the protected mode and system management mode. Basically, protected mode is nothing when you switch on or power up the IA32 or processor. The processor is in real addressing mode state. It can be switched over to protected mode, which is also known as virtual 8086 mode. So protected mode is nothing but it's a protected and multitasking environment. And this is also a native state of the processor. When the processor is operating in normal conditions, it is operating as, it is said to be operating in protected mode. The next is system management mode. System management mode is, as you can say, is a special operating mode of the processor, as this is a platform specific. It performs platform specific functions such as power management and system security. Whenever power management is required or system security is required, we switch the processor to system management mode. And how this mode is operated, it is not just as it to convert it from real address mode to protected mode. The processor can be changed simply from real address mode to protected. For to go to system management mode, whether it is from real address mode or from protected mode, we need an interrupt. So processor needs an special kind of interrupt to get into system management mode. The processor enters system management mode through an special kind of interrupt, that is SMI. SMI is system management mode interrupt. This is regarded as the name with system management mode interrupt. So there are three modes of operation of IA32 architecture in the processor. And one special mode that I have mentioned when we are already mentioned when we are going for 64-bit, that is 32E extension mode, which is IA64 architecture concept. So let's move on to the basic introduction. After discussion of these modes, let's move on to the basic introduction of the architecture, IA32 architecture. We have As we have seen in the architecture of 8086 microprocessor, it was a 16-bit system. So if it was a 16-bit system, we had resistors up to the capacity of 16 bits. Now we have 8 GPRs, general purpose registers, as I have mentioned previously. Uh, EAX. This EAX refers to the extended version. This is nothing but the extension. This is extension. So extension of 8086 microprocessor. We had AX. AX was 16-bit and it has been extended further to 16 bits more, which is 32-bit GPR and regarded as EAX. As this, remember, as this IA32 can operate when operates in real address mode, as IA32 when operates in real address mode, it is operating as 8086 microprocessor. So when it is acting as 8086 microprocessor, it need not to use if EAX is 32 bits. So if this is 15 starting from 0 and this is 31, say. So this is extended version. This part is extended version of the processor. So when the processor is operating in real address mode, it has to use only the lower bits of this version. So only AX will be into operation, whereas these 16 bits will not be will be discarded. In the case of when we are operating in real addressing mode, when the IA32 is operating in its own mode, then it will use all the 32 bits of the GPRs. So we have 8 GPRs, and we have E flags, EIP. They are also 32 bits in this case. Then we have 16-bit segment register. 16-bit segment registers were also present in 8086 microprocessor, but they were 4 in number. They were 4 in number. Now we have 6 16-bit address segment registers. There is nothing to not very much change from 8086. We have code segment register, we have stack segment register, data segment register, extra segment register. Then additional 2 registers has been segment registers has been provided to store the data. So extra 2 registers have been implemented, nothing else in this process. So accessing parts of the register, as you can access each register part separately. So we have 8 bits accumulator, then 8 bit further extended. When both of the HL pair are combined together, it can be regarded as accumulator of the 16 bits. The 16-bit accumulator of which 8086 microprocessor. It has been further extended by adding 16 bits more in case of 32-bit architecture. So EAX is for 32-bit, when we are using AX, it's for 16-bit, 8086, and subsequently HL pair can be used separately also. So 4 register sets are basic. Then we have index registers. Some registers have only a 16-bit name for their lower half, number bit aliases, and 16-bit registers usually in real address mode. So they are, if we are using real address mode, so in real address mode, I have mentioned already that it will work as 8086 microprocessor. And if it is working as 8086 microprocessor, then the register will be 16-bit registers, same as we had in 8086. There's source, destination, source index, destination index. Then we have base pointer and stack pointer. Then there are some specialized register uses for every register. As we can see that EAX is an accumulator, and what is the job of accumulator? From the very beginning of the concept of microprocessor, as you have studied from 8085 microprocessor, accumulator is the register where arithmetic operations and results of the arithmetic operations are stored. The data is stored. The accumulator for operands and results, data results in this case also. Then EBX, extended BX is pointer to data into the data segment. So data pointers of the data segment are in EBX. Then C is used for string and loop operations. D stores data for IO pointers. Then source index. Source index is used for again for string operations. Then destination index is segmented point to by ES registers. Destination pointer for string operations. Stack pointer is part of used by stack segment, and base pointer is also used to define the base address. These are the flag registers in case of IA32 architecture. As we can see, it's a 32-bit flag register. Flag is again, as it was mentioned in case of 8086 architecture, the flags are nothing but flags are used to talk about the status of the data. We are not doing data transfer, we are not doing data manipulation, but flags just indicate the status of the data. So, apart from flags, after flags, let us talk about some more about floating point, MMX, and XMM registers. So, floating point, MMX, and XMM registers are nothing but we have 80-bit floating point data registers which are sequenced in a stack in this fashion. So they are arranged in a stack. They all are used for floating point arithmetic. So what are MMX? What is the drawback of MMX and why XMM register is introduced? So Intel's first IA32 SIMD effort. SIMD, again I'm mentioning it, SIMD. SIMD is single instruction multiple data. So Intel's first IA32 SIMD effort was the MMX instruction set. MMX had two problems. First, it reused the existing. What was the problem of MMX? First, it reused existing cross 87 floating point registers, making the CPUs unable to work on both floating point and SIMD data at the same time. So CPUs were unable to process the floating point and SIMD data at the same time in case of MMX registers. In case of MMX register, it was not possible. And second case was it only worked for integers. So this was the part that was working for integers only. So there was a need to deal with the floating point numbers or floating point operations, and hence 128-bit XMM registers were introduced. So 128-bit XMM registers were introduced, but SSE, again I'm making an abbreviation. We had SSE, and what is SSE? SSE is streaming SIMD extension. This is streaming SIMD extension. So SSE floating point instructions operate on a new independent register set. They operate on a new independent register set, and that register set is XMM registers, and adds a few integer instructions that work on MMX registers. And they add a few integer instructions that work on MMX registers. So XMM registers were a remedy for the problems being encountered in MMX registers. They are just two technologies that Intel has introduced in its IA32 processors. So SSE is a streaming SIMD extension which work on single precision floating point data. So I'm writing it down, trying to write it down here. It is nothing but SSE is working on are the extensions which work on single precision, You may write it down as I am dictating it. It works on single precision floating point. It works on single precision floating point data. So the use of MMX and XMM registers, apart from general purpose registers, stack segment, and EIP, etc. The use of general floating point registers is just to increase the capacity of the processor to deal with the floating point number operations and integers. So this was basically an introduction to IA32 and IA64. Let me give a brief review of this architecture. We had introduced IA32 and IA64 architecture as an improved version of 8086 microprocessor. 8086 microprocessor. So as a 8086 microprocessor, we introduced IA32 family of processor. IA32 family of processor, we had various processors. I have shown you that there are certain improvements in the processor in the subsequent years. Then we talked about the basic execution environment. There are two execution environments of this architecture. One is IA32 basic execution environment, in which the IA32 architecture is itself operating in 32-bit mode, and it has addressing capability of 2 raised to the power 31. But in case of when it is switched over to IA32E mode, it works as 64-bit execution environment, which increases its addressing capability to 2 raised to the power 63. So as we can see that there is also a basic difference between the two. One is cross 64 architecture, one is cross 86 architecture. The architecture, IA64 architecture, which is independent of IA32 architecture, is known as cross 64 architecture in literature. Whereas when IA32 is operating in IA32E mode, extended mode, it will be regarded as cross 86 architecture. Both of these architectures has been mentioned in detail in the Intel manual that I'll share with you. So we have IA64 family of processor. Then we discussed about Intel Itanium processor. This was a cross 64 architecture, means independent of IA32 architecture. Then there were various modes of IA32. 3 modes basically we discussed about that they were real addressing mode, which has also been mentioned in the syllabus. Real addressing mode is nothing but it's just implementation of 8086, and it comes into picture when the processor is being reset or it's being powered up. It can also switch into the other 2 modes subsequently. Protected mode is native state of the processor, and system management mode used in exception when the power management and system security is required. And it is operated through an interrupt, which is also known as system management mode interrupt. So we have general purpose registers, which were extended versions of 8086. We had 8 general purpose registers, E flags, EIP, which were 32 bits. Then we have segment registers, which are 16 bits, accessing parts of the registers, and index base, etc., flags and floating point. So this is all for today. I think we can stop here. In the next lecture, we will discuss about, as we have talked about the addressing mode of IA32. We will talk about how it is implemented, or segmentation is implemented in 8086 microprocessor. Then what are the addressing modes of 8086 microprocessor? This is all for today. Thank you very much. If you have any queries regarding this video will be shared and the link will be shared in your groups. You can access or revisit the video. If you have any queries, you can raise your queries in Google Classroom section, and I'll try to address them in no time. Thank you very much. This is all for today. Hello. 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 Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
ठीक है, आप लोगों का अगर कोई डाउट हो तो रेज योर क्वेरीज इन गूगल क्लासरूम, ठीक है। और ये वीडियो मैं शेयर कर दूंगा, रिकॉर्डिंग इज ऑलरेडी इन प्रोसेस।